everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry. So let's look at the depth chart. Since, we've been talking about Sam Darnold, we're just going to go ahead and jump into it with the quarterback position.
Yeah.
According to ESPN's projected depth chart, we have Sam Darnold starter, PJ Walker backup, and Will Grier third. Tommy Stevens is a fourth stringer. It's listed as him as.
Yeah, according to ESPN. Now, I'd read, was it an athletic article or some article the other day where they had said that they think coming into the season, probably Tommy Stevens would end up being the third string quarterback, so they could use him on, as for the gadget plays and stuff. And Will Grier will probably not be on the team.
Yeah, I project the same thing because he hasn't shown anything. I thought last year would be his not coming out, but his start anew with a new head coach and everything else. But PJ Walker outplayed him in training camp, and PJ Walker showed why he was a backup last year when Teddy Bridgewater went out.
PJ Walker, who was a practice squad quarterback for the Seahawks, who went to the XFL? Yeah, he was in the XFL. And then he comes in, he wins the backup job. So what does that tell you about Will Grier? Dude's probably not going to be on the roster.
Now, he has a glorious beard, though.
He does have a glorious beard. Just looking at last year, obviously Teddy was the quarterback coming into last year. And I just kind of want to look at the starters when we're talking about, comparing last year to this year. I'm going to go ahead and speak for you and say we don't know if this is an upgrade or not, right? It's still too early to tell. We need to see Sam out there before we can really determine whether or not this is an upgrade. But if I had to put a gun to your head and say, is Sam Darnold going to be the starter for the Carolina Panthers in 2023?
No.
What would you say? No. Okay. So you're not a believer.
No, I am not a Sam Darnold believer. I personally feel like we're going to be the new Cleveland Browns, where we're just going for a new quarterback every year or two until we finally get one. And I think this is me. I think passing on Justin Fields is going to come back to haunt this franchise.
Well, and regular listeners to this show know how we feel about passing on Justin Fields. I'm a little more hopeful on Darnold, but
I'm hopeful, and I'm reading the articles. I'm watching highlights, and there's just a lot. He did not play good in the Jets.
No, he played terribly. He was the worst quarterback in the league.
Exactly. And that's
among
the thing,
37 starters.
There's been other quarterbacks who had bad coaching and bad organizations around him and not look that bad.
Yeah. And it's unprecedented, really, to have a guy who was a 3-year starter and was that bad turn into a good quarterback after moving teams. Now, we saw Tannehill but Tannehill wasn't as bad as Darnold in Miami. So, yeah. Is this an upgrade? TBD. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think at best we might be looking at slightly better than Teddy, which if he's slightly better than Teddy in the right areas of the field, then that could be a huge upgrade.
Going deep. See.
Yeah.
2-minute warnings.
Going deep, 2-minute warning, red zone. Moving to running back, Christian McCaffrey is the guy. He was the guy coming into last year. Of course, he missed the majority of the season, only played 3 games. We did lose Mike Davis back up to the Falcons, who looks like he's going to be their starter.
Yeah.
And they don't really have anybody else on that roster to compete with him. So, and we did bring in Chuba Hubbard in the draft. We got Chuba Hubbard, Rodney Smith, and Reggie Bonifant as, filling out the depth chart here.
I would not be surprised if Darius Clark somehow makes this roster, or at least the practice squad. He's the running back that was at that hub workout that I think it was Joe Brady was at, and he stood out, and they went and signed him right away after that. So I think that guy has a fringe roster practice squad guy could make it.
And I know his name's Chuba Hubbard. I just like Chuba Hubbard. I think it sounds better and it's fun. So what do you think overall running back, the stable of running backs? Maybe a slight downgrade from where we were in 2020.
I don't know, man. I'm feeling excited. I watched a lot of highlights from Hubbard. I don't want to say
Yeah.
tape because I don't go get the actual tape, but
Sure.
I feel confident with him. I'm hoping going into this season, it's the same way going into last season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nobody knew what Mike Davis was going to be last
Yeah.
year. We were, I mean, hell, you and I thought he was going to be cut. Like he wasn't even going to make the roster coming into last
Correct.
season. So I'm going to say slight downgrade. You want to say slight upgrade? That's fine. I think we're fairly similar. As long as Christian plays,
I would mark it as a push.
Push. Okay. Going to wide receiver now, and I'm just gonna. I don't know how we want to look at wide receiver. I guess we'll go with the
Robbie Anderson, DJ
ESPN.
Moore starting.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore starting. We did sign David Moore from the Seahawks. He is currently listed as, I guess, the slot receiver, the third receiver. Drafted Terrace Marshall in the draft, pick that both you and I like a lot. We've got Brandon Zylstra, and then is it Shea Smith, or I guess it's Shai Smith?
Shai Smith from South Carolina.
So he is currently listed as the number 1 slot backup.
Yeah. He's had bad quarterback play, but he's looked good at South Carolina. I think that was a really good pick, and I'll be very interested on how this roster shakes out in the wide receiver department, because we know DJ and Robbie. After that, though, Terrace Marshall could slip into that slot.
He's played some slot.
So, and then Shai Smith is more of the slot guy. So this receiver core looks good.
There's talent. There is a lot of talent. I mean, we got Brandon Zylstra, who played a little last year. He's listed as DJ's backup. Then there's Keith Kirkwood, who missed all of last season, who coaches are high on. Omar Bayless, who we were all high on kind of last year before he got hurt. And then there's a few other guys here: Micah Simon, Ventrell Bryant, Mark and Michelle, and Ishmael Hyman.
Yeah.
So the back end of the depth chart, probably who knows how many of those guys actually make the team. Normally, 6 make the team. So let's just talk it out. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, David Moore, Terrace Marshall are locks. And then you've got Zylstra, Shai Smith, Kirkwood, and I would say Bayless as the guys that are going to be fighting for those last 2 spots.
I think it'll be Zylstra and Shai Smith. I think Zylstra will earn it with his ability on special teams. And I think Shai Smith, I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't the returner either.
I was going to say Shai Smith also a special teams guy. I could see, I think Shai Smith makes it. I could see Zylstra or Kirkwood, because for some reason they really like Kirkwood. And I know he came from the Saints, so Brady likes him a lot. But I could see Kirkwood sneaking into that 6th spot. Of course, we lost Curtis Samuel. Big loss for the team. So looking at the additions, basically you're saying DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, Shai Smith probably will be able to cover that 1,000 yards of offense that Curtis Samuel took with him.
Hopefully.
Upgrade or downgrade wide receiver?
I'm going to lean downgrade, but not hard downgrade, just because Terrace Marshall hasn't done what Curtis Samuel's done yet.
I'm going to agree with you. And also the flexibility that Curtis Samuel gave you out of the run game. I don't know if these guys have that.
Yeah.
Certainly not to the level that Curtis Samuel was able to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're a little more limited in what you can do with these guys. But this is a damn good receiver core.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm feeling very confident. After that draft, after looking at Marshall and Shai Smith more, I really like both of those picks.
Yeah.
We liked Marshall when it happened, but Shai Smith, the more I looked at him and the more I kind of researched him.
Yeah, agreed. And honestly, I'm pretty high on David Moore as well.
Me too.
And I'm curious to see what he can do with maybe a little more balls coming his way, I guess. All right, let's move to my favorite position, the tight end. We've got Dan Arnold listed as the starter right now
Mm-hmm.
on ESPN. Ian Thomas, Tommy Trimble, and Colin Thompson as the next guys. Of course, Tommy Stevens also, probably will
Yeah.
play some tight end. So this is I guess
This is a
a bit
battle.
of a change. Yeah.
This is going to be a pure battle for the. I think Dan Arnold does have to step up, but other than that, I think it's a battle. I think Tommy Trimble was drafted for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and he has great. I know this sounds very boring, but go watch his blocking highlights on YouTube.
He's going to
It
play
is
a lot.
very, very good.
I could actually see Tommy Trimble playing more than any of the other guys.
Yep.
Just because of his blocking, but not leading the team in tight end receptions. I think
I could see him going out there and being more of the starter just in general. I think he has an athletic build. I don't necessarily know how they're going to use him in the pass catching field, but not every time he lines up, it has to be a block.
Yeah. He's going to be a project when it comes to receiving. But he's got the body, he's got the athleticism, and he's an excellent blocker. So he's going to get a lot of field time. This is an upgraded position for me. And it's not upgraded as much as I would want it to be upgraded. But, losing Manhertz, we lost Manhertz, really is kind of the only significant tight end who's no longer on the team. But Trimble comes in as that blocking tight end and is probably an upgraded blocker to Manhertz, even though Manhertz is a very good blocking tight end.
And Dan Arnold had a decent season last year with Arizona. So
Dan Arnold's the best receiving tight end on the team. Ian Thomas, would not be surprised if Ian Thomas does not make the team.
Or it gets traded. I could see someone, maybe Washington or something.
Maybe Washington.
Maybe gives up a 6th round pick or something like that. He had a lot of hype coming out of college as a big project. As a
big project. And unfortunately, he's not paid off. So you have always been higher on Ian Thomas than I have. So I don't know that anyone would want to trade for him. But hey, if we can get anything for him, I'd be happy with that. All right. So moving on to the offensive line. Starting at left tackle. So left tackle, left guard really are the main changes here in terms of starters. So ESPN has left tackle Cameron Irving listed as the starter. Of course, we drafted Brady Christensen and then Greg Little as the third guy here. I think this is a big question.
And they have Trent Scott at right tackle. I think Trent Scott's going to be in that left tackle.
Yeah, also could be left tackle. Yeah. So we don't. Okung is still out there. He has not been signed, so he's still a free agent. And of course, Dennis Daly also still on the team.
Let's just be honest. This is going to be a crapshoot. They're going to all compete for that left tackle spot. And if it ends up with Cameron Irvin starting, we're not in a good position. Brady Christensen, he went in the 3rd round. He's probably not going to be a starting left tackle from the get-go. That being said, Matt Rule came out and said Brady Christensen can play all 3 different players or positions on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You needed a left tackle. There's no question about that. That's great if he could play guard, but that's not what you need him. He needs to go into camp and he needs to win that left tackle position. Otherwise, Sam Darnold's going to get very friendly with the groundskeeper because he's going to be hitting that grass all day long.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think it's quite possible that the starting left tackle in 2021 is not on the roster right now.
I agree.
I would not be surprised if, cuts come along or there's a trade or something like that. The Panthers realize after maybe OTAs or something that they don't have a starting caliber left tackle on this roster. Now, I'm hoping that Cameron Irving or Christensen can prove me wrong. I've seen nothing from Greg Little that makes me think he is a starting caliber. Yeah. Dennis Daly has had flashes, but can't stay healthy. Trent Scott was serviceable, but certainly I would say is a good backup.
Absolutely. I was excited when we signed him just because you like that depth. Yeah. I mean, you don't want him out there starting 16 games, right. 17 games this year.
So just looking basically from last year, last year our left tackle was not good either. So we were more excited about Okung coming in, but he had been coming off, health issues, and he was getting older. So I don't think we were too excited about him either. So would you say that this position has been upgraded, push, or downgraded?
From last offseason, I would say downgraded.
Yeah.
Because I was higher on Ocone. That being said, after the
but look at
season, I would
what
say it's
actually
more of a
happened.
push because it's
Yeah.
still all a question mark.
Yeah. I mean, right. Our thoughts going into last season, we're less excited about it, but I think seeing how last season played out, it's a push to me. Yeah, it's just, it's still crappy. Moving on to the next position on the offense here, left guard. We've got Pat Elflein.
Oh God, I hope he doesn't have to start
as the starter. Cameron Irving is listed as the backup. So again, these guys, are flexible. Aaron Monteiro and then Dennis Daly listed. So these guys could really be flexible here.
Yeah, I think Dennis Daly is going to pop up there a lot more than. And you also have Deontay Brown over there, but maybe he can get the right guard spot, which he's more of a right guard than a left guard. And then John Miller could float over to left guard.
Right. And we are looking at ESPN's depth chart here. So this is just what they have, but we know that like Cam Irving is listed as the backup left guard, but the starting left tackle. So some of this is a little wonky.
I mean, who knows if Christensen can win that left tackle spot, then you can slide Cameron Irving into left guard. And that does look more formidable.
Yeah. Or Christensen could win the left guard spot. I mean, honestly, like Christensen could end up being a guard. And if he's a better starting guard than he is a backup left tackle, then obviously give me him as whatever position he's best at. So, let's just talk guards in general. John Miller is the right guard, and this is the same from last year.
I think out of the guards, he's the most.
Yeah, he's stable.
He's the one who's got the starting job. I wouldn't even say unlocked, but he's got it. One of them, in my opinion.
They've got Mike Horton listed as his backup, then Deontay Brown and Martez Ivy. I am pretty high on Deontay Brown. I think that it's quite possible that he moves into a starter position, could be at left guard like you talked about, or at least becomes the backup. He's huge, and I think he's going to be a force.
Yeah, I agree. And his knock was pass blocking, but he didn't really. I believe I read he didn't even give up a sack last year. So
yeah,
obviously he's not that bad at pass
blocking. Right. They say his athleticism is horrible, but he's huge. So if you're on, in the guard position and you've got two talented people around you, so like if he does start, at right guard, if he is at right guard, he's probably going to be pretty formidable.
Yeah, I agree.
So what would you say about the guard position in general? And we're going to lump them together because these guys are so.
It was another bad one last year, so I'm going to go push.
Yeah, I agree. John Miller is the bright spot. But again, he's just
I do like
average.
The fact that we have a few young guys there that we can plug in and hopefully do better than they did last year.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go center before we get to the only bright spot on the line. So center, Matt Paradis comes back again. Sam Tecklenburg is in there, and then they've got Pat Elflein listed as Paradis's main backup, but he's not going to be the main backup. He's starting at left guard. So, but it's nice. I guess he could slide over if need be. So Paradis again was the starter last year. To me, this is a push. We did lose our main backup center from last year, and his name is escaping me.
Tyler Larson.
Yep. I think he went to Buffalo.
Yeah, he went to one of the other Carolina
or Washington.
teams.
Yeah, one of the
two. Yeah, push, if not a little downgrade because we did lose Tyler Larson.
I was hoping that they'd re-sign Tyler Larson. I thought he was a very solid backup. So moving to the lone bright spot here, Taylor Moten, excuse me, at right tackle, and then they've got Trent Scott listed as his backup, but I think that could be almost anybody. Again, I'm going to give this an upgrade because they brought back Moten when we were afraid that they wouldn't. So they did bring him back with the franchise tag.
Hopefully they can sign him to a long-term deal.
I hope so.
They freed up a
still
lot of
have
cap by
I was
releasing
gonna
so many
say,
people.
yeah, they still have, I think, the 10th most cap space in the league right now. So
Yeah, and it's better to sign him now instead of like 2 years from now when the cap is supposedly going to be going up close to $100 million.
yeah. So looking at the offense overall, Jerry, upgrade or downgrade or push from last season? So much hinges on Darnold.
Yeah, I was going to say that's unknown. I'm going to go push just because it's very similar almost to last year where you didn't know what the quarterback position is going to give you.
Yeah. Agreed. I'll go push as well. Maybe slight upgrade, but overall, I'm going to say push.